Good evening, folks. Thanks for coming out. We're going to get started here. Madam Clerk, call us in, please.
Councilmember Jimmy Clanton.
Here.
Councilmember Rob Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Jasmine Cobble. Councilmember George Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Tammy Grimes. Mayor Jason Leary.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman, if you do us the honor, please. Everybody stand for invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty and holy God, we thank you for another day. We thank you for another opportunity to serve you by serving your people. We invite you in tonight to be a part of this meeting, to direct us, to give us wisdom, understanding, knowledge, to move forth in productivity and creativity as we go forth to be servant leaders to the people that you've charged us to. So, Father, we thank you for this opportunity to serve you. We thank you that we will come together synergistically and we'll walk together synergistically to move forward in the power and authority that you've given us, and that the city will benefit for generations to come. So we honor you tonight, and we thank you for this opportunity to be a blessing to the people as you are a blessing to us. And we give you all the glory and praise for it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, folks. You may be seated. Council, approve take a look at the agenda. First of all, we're going to eliminate the consent agenda and the appointments.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
there was an item on the work session, code enforcement discussion, just for discussion only. Can we still hear from them?
Sure thing.
Want to add that?
All right. That. We can actually, we can add it to for discussion for new business, because we can take annexation off. We're not going to vote on anything on annexation. So on the new business, we can add the code enforcement discussion.
Also, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add for discussion a resolution for a charter amendment to a new business.
A resolution for a charter amendment for discussion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bonds, MOU. So. All right. I'll take a motion for approval.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the agenda for February 24th as amended.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda approved. Thank you, council. I'll give you a few minutes to rehash the 4 meetings that we have here with regards to the minutes for January 27th, February 10th, special call, February 10th, regular council, and February 13th for special call minutes.
I'd like to offer a correction to the minutes for the special call meeting on February 10th.
Okay.
It's noted under motion number 1 that Councilmember Jasmine Cobble and Councilmember Tammy Grimes abstained, which is incorrect. We were instructed by legal counsel that we could not vote. And that should be corrected, that we did not voluntarily abstain, that we were instructed by legal counsel that we could not vote.
I would like to consult with the city attorney. I'm not sure how to record that because votes are either yay, nay, or abstain.
I'd like to say something. I was told no by the mayor and upheld by the city attorney, so you can make sure it says that, because I would have voted. I would not have abstained.
What's your question, Madam Clerk?
How would you record the vote if they were told they could not vote versus what's the difference between abstaining and being told not to vote?
I mean, the short answer is the council is their minutes, so if they want their minutes to reflect what they want them to reflect, that's fine. So whatever the council wants the minutes to reflect, if they vote on that, then it should be as they want it. But I need to say something just to be clear. I say it all the time when I say, you know, I'm only an advice giver. I only give an opinion. I have no power to tell elected officials what they can and can't do. I give my advice, and you guys can say, forget your advice. We're going to do exactly what we want to do, and you've been elected to do that. I'm not a judge. I don't make rulings. I have no binding authority to tell mayor and council what to do. I say that, and it sounds like it's just like kind of the precursor to everything I say, and it's just kind of gets lost in the noise. But, Councilwoman, I can't stop you from voting. If my opinion is asked, I give my opinion, and then after I give my opinion, the council does precisely what the council wants to do, and I have no power under the charter or anywhere else to stop a council member from voting. So please understand that. I don't make rulings, and I don't stop people. I don't uphold decisions. I ain't got that kind of power. So I give my advice, and you can do with my advice what you will. You can follow it, you can discard it. So I didn't stop anybody from voting because I have no such power.
Okay, Madam Clerk, you can note for both of them, prevented from voting by the mayor.
Okay. I'll make that change.
All right.
And if I could say so, Mayor, for my portion, Madam Clerk, if you could say seconded with legal advice by the city attorney.
He didn't second it. So you have to
Second, corroborated, collaborated, whatever verb, adjective, noun you'd like to use. We can even include the footage from the video if you'd like.
How about I put that Councilmember Tammy Grimes and Councilmember Jasmine Cobble did not vote with advice from the mayor and city attorney?
I'll write it and give it to you by the end of the meeting.
That's not gonna.
Nope, didn't do that. You have to vote on the
We
minutes.
did not vote. We did not vote because of the advice. We were instructed that we could not. That is a completely different.
Put that down.
statement.
Put that down. Instructed by the mayor, they could not vote.
And the city attorney. It was not just the mayor in that conversation. And we can play the video back for the audio, just like Councilwoman Grimes said. But it was stated by both the city attorney and the mayor, and we were instructed that we could not vote. Now, if we really can go back to the tape and just get a transcript of it and take it verbatim, which would probably be better for everyone.
We're good?
Minutes on that date? On the 27th,
Okay.
Right, we skipped to the special call meeting,
okay.
but on the 27th, do you have any corrections?
Yes, that was one. It was just in the council comments. I said that was a citywide SPOS meeting. That was a citywide census meeting. So I misspoke.
I'll make that change. So it's a countywide census meeting. Okay, I can make that.
It was countywide. DeKalb County.
All right. Any more changes, council? Seeing none or hearing none, I'll take the approval of the minutes with the noted changes.
I'd like to offer a suggestion that we vote on each minute separately. I would not like to vote on February 10th until I see what was written.
Huh. See what was written how, Councilwoman?
I'd like to just vote on January 27th independently. I'd like for us to vote on February 10th independently. If we could just take each one independently.
All right.
Then I can offer a motion to defer February 10th.
Okay, folks. I'll take a motion to approve for January 27th,
Mr. Mayor,
2020. Yes, sir.
move to approve the minutes from January 27 with the noted corrections.
All righty.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Approval of February 10th, 2020 special call meeting minutes with the notations that we mentioned earlier. Discussion?
I'd like to offer a motion for February 10th that those minutes are deferred to the next council meeting.
I have a deferral with regards to that.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? For the next meeting. Approval of February 10th, 2020 council meeting minutes.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we approve the February 10th, 2020 council meeting minutes.
All right, properly moved. I have a second
Second.
and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes pass. Approval of February 13th, 2020 special call meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the February 13th, 2020 special call meeting minutes. Second.
All right, properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes pass. Good evening, folks. How y'all doing? All right, all right. Everybody should be happy. You're above ground. Good stuff is happening. All right. This is my favorite part of every meeting. Some folks that we're going to talk about, we're going to give a good conversation on, and then we're going to tell you why we're here and what happens on that end of it. I can tell you from an executive standpoint that your number one thing that you do as a leader is to grow the people that you have, no matter how painful it is, if something else happens with them, or if they have another opportunity. Your number one thing that you do is to make sure that you grow the folks that are working with you. And the reason that you do that is that you enrich their lives, you enrich your lives with regards to those people working and partnering with you, and you build a long-lasting great relationship with those individuals. And that's the culture that we have here at Stonecrest. Folks that work here, they get an opportunity to show what they can do. They get an opportunity to learn new things, and then they get an opportunity to grow. Sometimes on that, they grow beyond you. But that's okay also, because you've enriched their lives. They've done the same for you, and the world's just a better place for it. I want to tell you about a person, and then we're going to bring her up. We started this initiative some 6-7 years ago, and she was one of the individuals that helped us with Stonecrest City Alliance and also Stonecrest Yes. And as a matter of fact, last year during Black History Month, we honored those women that were the actual board members and helped, found the organization so that we can grow in where we are today. Well, one of those individuals, even before then, I had an opportunity to work with her in a different business. We had a chance to grow together in that business, and then we moved together with regards to those alliances and support groups for the City of Stonecrest initiative, after which she came to work here, and she grew from there. This person now has grown beyond our particular capacity here in Stonecrest, and we're happy for her. And that person is Tiffany Adams, and I want Tiffany Adams to come up front here. We got something for you. A little bit more about Tiffany. Tiffany came here with a tremendous amount of abilities and talents to start with. And I was just so happy to have her. I'll give you an example of what kind of person, Tiffany is. This was some 15, 16 years ago when my wife and I first met her. And we were doing the concert series in the City of Stonecrest. So out of nowhere, this lady comes up to me and she says, "I'm going to be working for you, and this is what I'm going to be doing." I said, "Okay then." A week later, just as sure as we stand here, we were work partners together. She is the person that balanced us out with regards to those important artists. It is a special task for a person to deal with artists, especially old school artists. And Tiffany, she just had that great ability to take care of them. Those are the same relationships that we have today. We still can call Najee to come in and do anything that we want to do here because of Tiffany and those particular situations. Then she came to Stonecrest, and she started our whole business process with regards to licensing, and moved from there to some other positions. But then lately, she started our court system as the clerk. Now, DeKalb County has plucked Tiffany away from us, and she's going to be big time supervisor over in the DeKalb County courts. And we wanted to honor her today, as she is still family to us, and we wanted you all to know, and Tiffany know how much we appreciate you, and give you something a little going away so you won't forget about us. All right, hold on one second. Golden Globe Award. So those are moments where, if you're genuine about people, if you're genuine about making sure that they actually grow and move to the next level, these are the things that happen. Sometimes that the best folks that you have, they have to make those decisions and then move from there. So we're just so happy for you, Tiffany. We know you're going to do just fine. All right. On that same turn is that that leaves us some opportunities from things that we have that's inside. So this next person, I had an opportunity to work with, see her level of work, and to notice what kind of individual that she is. And we 100% believe in internal promotions at here at Stonecrest. Everyone has their philosophy with regards to how you build your team. Mine is very simple. We grow our own, and you get an opportunity for that person to grow. You have an opportunity to enrich their lives, and they enrich yours. So with that, I'd like to bring up Mr. Carter Richardson. All right. It's coming. It's coming. There she is. All right. Mr. Joyner, would you join us, please? All right. So, Ms. Richardson, she will now be our court clerk. There you go. She's getting promoted from. That's right. That's right. And she'll move into that particular position. I've had a great opportunity to not only observe your work as a code enforcement officer, when a individual or a homeowner or business owner, when they call you in the mayor's office, 9 times out of 10, they're not happy. However, I've received several calls over the time that you've been here with regards to your quality of work and how you deliver. And she understands the actual code enforcement system, and she's been working in it. She has experience. So the next level to this area is for her to make sure that our courts are taken care of. And we do congratulate you. We have something for you, too. Hold on a second. That's right. Excellent, excellent. All right. We have one more for this session, and then we'll move on to something else. This person, I just can't tell you how badly we needed this individual, particularly Mr. Joyner and I. This person came in and organized the entire office, made sure that all the schedules were correct, make sure things were in proper place, make sure that we were on time for the things that we need to do, because this is just, council meeting is 1/10 of the job that we have. Is serving the people is the rest of it. And we had to have a person that could put the glue together in the office to make sure everything was running smoothly. Once again, we had an opportunity to observe this person through Jacobs. And then now, Miss Iris Settles, if you come forward. There she is. All right. Miss Settles is now our Chief of Staff for the City of Stonecrest. For sure. Some of you all may wonder, why a medal? Because they're champions. That's why. All right. We'll finish this up for our portion of the presentation. Folks, I want to sincerely tell you about a group of people. Some are here, some aren't. The weather hell, some in conflicts of schedule, but the ones that are here, we're going to bring them up, and I want to tell you a story about them, but I'll read it with regards to a resolution because, you know, folks, whether you really know or understand this or not, there was a tremendous amount of sacrifice and work to be able to create this city, to keep it, and to make it grow. Tremendous sacrifices on several people's parts, being able to make sure that you all are sitting where you are today so that you can have a say. Otherwise, you will be having a say down at the county. We see how well that went. So now there are some folks that we should recognize for history to come. And I am going to call these folks up if they're here, and then the ones that are, great. The ones that aren't, I already know about it. So is Senator, then Senator Judge Ramsey. Okay. I know that Tom Curry couldn't make it from meeting conflict. Mr. Joe Thibodeau. All right, going up. Mr. Sean Jones. There he is. Attorney Bernie Knight. Mr. Pledge Joyner. And I got a recent information that I don't think Representative Vernon Jones could make it at this time. But I want to read this resolution, and I have one for each of you because I'm so proud to be just associated with you gentlemen, period. Let me give a 2 seconds on this so that you all will know. There's 3 things that had to happen, 3 or 4 things that had to happen to become a city. One is that you had to develop an alliance, and that's when we were Stonecrest City Alliance. Then from there, you had to develop, that was strictly for educational purposes by law. After Stonecrest City Alliance, then there was Stonecrest Yes, the actual advocation of the city, to advocate for it. Third, once from there, there was the Governor's Commission. It was appointed by the governor to be able to make that particular transition, and of course the vote by you all, the people, to say yes. So if you all indulge me just 2 minutes, this is what we have today for our resolution, recognizing and celebrating diversity and collaboration in Black History Month. Whereas Senator now, Judge Ronald Ramsey, boldly carried our Senate Bill 208 for the creation of the City of Stonecrest, and whereas Attorney Thompson Curry provided the legal structure and representation for Stonecrest City Alliance, Stonecrest Yes, and the Governor's Commission. And whereas Joe Thibodeau, the hot tamale, was the treasurer and board member for Stonecrest City Alliance, Stonecrest Yes, and he was chairman of the Governor's Commission. And whereas Sean Jones was a key member of Stonecrest City Alliance, Stonecrest Yes, committee leader for the Governor's Commission, and the technical architect of the city's website. And whereas Attorney Bernie Knight was a member of the Stonecrest City Alliance, Stonecrest Yes, and the key relationship representative of the Industrial Park Partners. Whereas Pledge Joyner was a founding member of the Stonecrest City Alliance, Stonecrest Yes, and now Deputy City Manager and Public Works Director for the City of Stonecrest. And whereas Lou Wilkins of Fire Station 439 Design Studio was the creative director and chief designer of our city logo and logos for the Stonecrest City Alliance, Stonecrest Yes, and whereas State Representative Vernon Jones, who was elected twice as the CAB CEO, has continued to guide our path for full municipality and leadership at the local and state level. Therefore, be it resolved that our Mayor Jason Larry and the City Council honor and recognize the dedication and achievements of these individuals today and throughout history, and distinguish them as the key contributors and history makers in the city of Stonecrest. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, Madam Clerk, we have public comments.
Yes. Yes. Harriet Harris.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Harriet Harris. I'm a resident of Stonecrest. My address is 4855 Wolverton Drive, 30038. I have to say tonight that I was at the meeting earlier this month, and I was quite disappointed at our last meeting as I observed what was a walkout among several of the council members here over an issue of, we learned later, of one member's attendance. I was just getting here as the meeting began, so I did not know what precipitated the walkout. But it happened just as I sat down, and I thought to myself, well, what's going on? Is somebody sick, or is there an emergency of some kind? But the mayor did go on to explain after the meeting, or before the meeting ended, what the issues were. And my request to you all is it possible for you all to resolve issues that create a scene like that away from the public eye? The kind of behavior exhibited, in my opinion, was very childish and unprofessional. The city council members and staff are elected, and get that, elected to do work on behalf of the people of this city, not to bicker, to squabble over personal issues. I would therefore ask that you all please settle disputes between you away from the public eye in a professional manner which does not gain negative publicity for our city. As you just said, we have a shining opportunity here to show what we can do as progressive, forward-thinking professionals, providing a beautiful city, because it is a beautiful city. I've lived here 22 years, and I love this city, and I was so proud to be a part of a new city, Stonecrest, a new city where I could actually sit down and meet my public officials and work with them. But I was extremely disappointed last week. And I would ask that you all please remember that you are elected to be professional, mature, and conscientious, dignified members of a team that's moving us forward. Please.
Jeremy Scott.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jeremy Scott. I live at 2860 Valace Path, Stonecrest, Georgia, 30038. I'm going to hit a few things really quickly. From a code enforcement perspective, for District 2 in particular, I've seen a lot of things that I think should have been reported but have not been reported that are blatantly there. So just make sure we're doing those sweeps. From an economic development standpoint, I'm glad to hear about all the stuff happening at the mall. However, we have 24 acres of commercial space across from Emory Hospital. It's Emory Hospital. It's the better of the two. It's better than Hillendale. It's better than, the one in North Decatur. Hillendale has been rated better. Let's leverage that 24 acres, okay? You have a lot of doctors and nurses who are highly paid individuals who would love to have a place to go and grab a quick bite to eat and go back to work or to live and not have to go back to Atlanta or Decatur. So leverage that. With that said, I do want to piggyback on what the previous person just said, and that is it is okay to have disagreements. And it is absolutely okay to be justified in why you're disagreeing. But the behavior that you guys displayed at the last city council meeting was childish, and there's no other way to put it. I was highly, highly, highly disappointed. And we always hear this talk about, it's a younger generation that we need to work with. We need to do these things. You guys had the younger generation in here. You had a group of high school students who put work in to present to you the work that they had done to tell you what they wanted to see in their city. And for you to get up and walk out and take that chance away from those kids, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Like she said, we elected you to represent us. That was not indicative of who I've elected to represent me. Now, I understand, Councilwoman Cobble, you are excused from that because I would not be in my seat if my seat was called in question either. But for the rest of you who walked out, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, because what kind of example are you setting for those kids? We keep saying these kids need help. These kids need to have a better example. You are the example. You let those kids down. You've got years and years of experience working in corporate America. We have educators sitting up there. So as an educator, you should be looking out for those children, and you're not doing that. The years of corporate experience that you have up there, you know that we do not get to make a second first impression for anyone. That when we make a mistake, it is indicative of everybody sitting up there. And you know what I mean, so I don't need to go into any further detail about that. You understand that people are watching us. And so to have that example set, think twice about that. It's okay to disagree. It is never okay to turn your back on your constituents. And the people who were sitting here are the people who elected you, the people that you were supposed to represent, and you turned your back on us in that last meeting. So just think about that. Thank you.
Miss Faye Cofield.
I'm gonna be the oddball of the group tonight because sometimes justice takes a protest. I'm old school civil rights from the 60s and 50s, so I just believe in protest. But I have a couple little questions. Was there no contingency in case we couldn't get financing included in the purchase agreement for Sears, and Sam's Club? But most importantly, I'm concerned about this thing about the police department. I'm wondering if anybody has thought about doing what the City of Atlanta did, and that was when they established Midnight Blue and the Buckhead Police Departments. And what they did, they put a special tax on businesses, and they then hired off-duty police officers, sworn City of Atlanta police officers, to come in and to work those areas. They responded to calls, they patrolled, they did backup. It gave you double enforcement. Perhaps that's something that we should look at doing because crime has gotten out of hand. I've lived in the Evans Mill area for almost 25 years, and this is the first time that I've seen a murder like we had up at TikTok. And the sad thing about it is that it was 10 o'clock at night, which is not early. But this business owner felt it was the time that he needed to close. So I hope you will consider looking at what City of Atlanta did with Midnight Blue and what they did with Buckhead and brought in those police officers and paid them. And you can do it while you're working on trying to get your own police department. It could probably be in effect by summer. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is this gas station that's been proposed on Turner Hill. I was here when it was said that the R100 land is not of any value. So let me take you a ways back. I want you to go to Memorial and Hill and move up to Memorial and Candler. I worked that area. I know that area. That area had approximately 10 houses on Memorial Drive and some broke down apartments and broke down businesses. I don't know how many of you have been over there now, but they have nice high-rise apartments. They have $800,000 townhouses that are selling out where there was once a dilapidated store. We can have that in Stonecrest if we stop letting people come in here and tell us that we don't deserve anything but a gas station so that our children can go up there and buy candy, which was said, and so that we could grocery shop. That was what was said at the meeting for zoning. I personally took offense to it, especially since it was Black History Month, and it was said. But I am deeply offended because the mayor has told us he has people calling him every day to bring high projects in here. So if he's got these people calling them, where are they going to go when every corner is going to have a gas station?
Dave Marcus.
Good evening, y'all, and it is nice to see the 6 of you here together. Transparency and accountability have been talked about at least twice in the history of Stonecrest, and I think it was during elections, possibly. I'd like to compliment the mayor, but don't get pleased, on listening to the council tonight and withdrawing the committee nominations. Even though it means that for 2 months of this year, we will not have a committee, and that's 2/12, 1/6, whatever that percentage is. There are no committees helping the city. But the committees, as apparently most people understood them, did not have defined purposes, and there was no way that there would be accountability to understand if they achieved their goals because they did not have goals. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for taking a step back, even though it cost us some time, and doing it right. The other place where we don't have goals, we don't have definition or accountability, is in the comprehensive plans action items, I forget if it's 40 or 60 or 80, which are not particularly measurable. We will not know if the city achieves most of those. Some we will, others we won't. And I think I've said this before, I would really love for y'all to take a step back and create a plan, an execution plan, a game plan, call it whatever you want, so that we who are invested in Stonecrest will know what y'all who are nurturing our investment are doing to increase it, and what we can expect to be done, and what we can expect the city to try, not necessarily succeed, but to try to achieve in the first quarter and the second and the third and all that, so that we have a sense of progress. We have a sense of action. Even if things are not achieved, we want to be able to know what y'all are trying to do. The former city manager had monthly reports that went on the website that said this many zoning things and this many code enforcement and this many that. I know from Mr. Boone that he does a monthly report that says how many companies he spoke to, and I don't know the details, I haven't seen them, and he says I should be able to see that on the website because it's part of the monthly reports, except the monthly reports aren't there anymore since the first city manager left. So nobody has much of an idea, unless we talk one-on-one to a city official, of what the city is doing and trying to do and plans to do, except at the vision level. And however many years in we are, the vision level is getting a little old. Thank you.
Mr. Bill Bruckner.
Greetings, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I also feel a need to express my disappointment with the City Council members who walked out of the February 10th council meeting. Look, I understand every city and even every business has peripheral bureaucratic issues that need to be tended to. People have full-time jobs. People have health issues. I understand that. There are peripheral matters, they need to be addressed. What I don't understand is when elected, paid public officials, public servants, let me emphasize, public servants, walk out on their constituents without a word of justification and disrupt and delay the business of the city. Experts in common sense will tell you that you can't resolve anything by walking away. Besides, your job for which you were elected and which you're paid for is to be present and to govern. You can't govern if you're not present. In particular, you walked out on a group of students and their parents who had spent time and effort and gone out of their way to present to you in the parks, the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We've also come to find out your walking out jeopardized the purchase of the Sears and Sam's buildings, which could have cost the city hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost earnest money if it weren't for the last-minute creative thinking of City Attorney Denmark. As public servants, you need to ask yourself what your priorities are and how you want to be remembered. Do you want to be remembered as the council person who had visionary proposals for the city of Stonecrest? who brought quality businesses to the city, who did meaningful things to help its 54,000 citizens? Or do you want to be known as the person who gets hung up on bureaucracy, who argues all the time, who doesn't pay attention, and who doesn't show up or who walks out? As elected, paid public servants, these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Thank you.
Miss Susan Lee.
Good evening, everyone. Susan Lee, 3665 Bayberry Way, Stonecrest, District 5. Council members George Turner, Rob Turner, Jasmine Cobble, and Tammy Grimes, I'm embarrassed and angry in regards to your walkout on the February 10th City Council meeting. Your actions were disrespectful to the invited students, their parents, the educators, and the citizens of Stonecrest that took the time to attend that meeting. You four owe us an apology for your unprofessional behavior. Along with the apology, you need to extend a return invitation to the students from Arabia Mountain and Miller Grove High to present their findings in the survey from the Parks and Recreation's Master Plan presentation. They had some valuable information to share with us, and you need to see and hear their presentation. By your behavior, I believe all of you that participated in walking out need retraining, or in Councilmember Grimes' case, training to ask what a city council member's duties are. Council members George Turner, Rob Turner, and Jasmine Cobble knew the council had to vote to excuse absences. They voted no to approve Mayor Larry's absences when he was taking cancer treatments. They followed the charter on approving absences. Council votes. District 5, my councilwoman, Tammy Grimes, you are the new kid on the block, so consider yourself initiated by the group. It was disrespectful to you, Mayor Larry, and your constituents to talk you into joining them. Councilwoman Grimes, please get the facts before you follow the crowd. Do not let your fellow council members put you in such a situation again. Councilwoman Grimes, did council members Turner, and Cobble tell you they voted not to excuse Mayor Larry due to his cancer treatments scheduled on meeting dates? They knew the rules for excusing an absence. The council members have to vote to excuse an absence. They, along with Diana Doma, neglected to follow the rules to excuse you, Jasmine Cobble. Same charter in effect. Councilmember Turner, Cobble, and Grimes, you serve at the pleasure of the citizens of Stonecrest, not your own personal agenda. I, as a citizen of Stonecrest, have a question. Did this walkout on February 10th result in any type of financial expense to the city of Stonecrest and us, the citizens? 2 items on the work session for today were on the agenda for February 10th. Your walkout caused the time pressure and problems presented for the Sam's Club and Sears. My point of personal problems put ahead of Stonecrest business. Councilwoman Jasmine, you asked, how did we get to March 2nd and March 3rd dates? March 2nd and March 31st dates to complete these things. The walkout you organized is how we got to those dates.
Miss Renee Kell.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to speak a little bit about the gas station that's proposed. This is ordinance for rezoning application, RZ 19. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Ms. Kale, before you begin, can you pause there? Can it be stated that if residents have comments about a public hearing, that they have to make their comment during the public hearing, or can they make it during the public comment section? Because there seems to be a little confusion regarding the matter between the matter. And I want clarification just to make sure.
Mr. Mayor, you can, by policy, if they're going to speak at the public hearing, that's just as an appropriate time. I don't think there's anything necessarily improper about speaking about it now, but for the efficiency's sake or for whatever reason the council deems, you could just direct those individuals to make their comments during the public hearing.
If it's specifically about, I'll just render my opinion. Sure. Okay. If it's specifically about that SLUP, Ms. Kale, I would do it during the public hearing.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Just let me know when.
Okay, not a problem.
I'll put her first on there. So we
Okay.
can speak.
Good deal.
Again, I guess we should probably, when we do public comments cards, we probably should ask residents to clarify on the cards if they're going to do a public hearing regarding what matters, such as a rezoning application, so they won't get called up during the public comment section. So, I mean, no fault to the residents.
Good deal.
That's all the public comments.
All right. We'll move to public hearing. The ordinance for rezoning application, RZ 19-010/SLUP 19009. Mr. Wheeler?
Yes, sir. So staff received a withdrawal request on January 14th from the applicant to withdraw this application. Staff is okay with the withdrawal, but since we did have a public hearing, since we did advertise, we have to have a public hearing for the case. So after the public hearing, you can accept or deny the withdrawal request from the applicant. Thank you. Any questions of staff?
From this part of it, then this may come from Mr. City Attorney, because I want Ms. Kale to have her say.
Yes, sir.
We'll still do for and against.
Yes, sir, because we've already advertised.
Got it.
We've already advertised it, so we still have to have the public hearing. But again, the applicant is asking a withdrawal. So after that, then you can determine if you want to accept the withdrawal or not to accept the withdrawal.
Got it. All right. Having said that, I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, offer the motion to open the public hearing for RZ 19010 SLUP 19009.
All right. Properly
Second.
moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Public hearing is now open.
Mr. Mayor, may I reiterate that the applicant has asked to withdraw their SLUP. So the bottom line is they don't want to be there anymore. Okay. Just keep that in mind.
Okay. All right. Having said that, I'll still start with those that are against.
Miss Renee Kell?
Oh. Yeah, we got that. Okay.
This is in opposition of the rezoning, correct? Or is this in opposition of the withdrawal?
Chris.
Yeah, so again, this is, since we already advertised the public hearing, we still have to have one. This is not in opposition of the withdrawal. This is just to complete the process, the legal process where we advertise of the rezoning. So therefore, it's who are for the applicant and those who are against the applicant. And then after we have the public hearing, the city council can decide if they want to accept the withdrawal by the applicant.
Got it. So yes, ma'am, Ms. Kale, you can. Right. There you go. It's okay now. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, on behalf of Citizens for a Healthy and Safe Environment, we really did not want the rezoning of this application to take place, because it's not that everybody doesn't need gas. I know a lot of us do. But if people are going to bring gas stations, we would really be happy if you didn't put them in residential areas. And they do bring a lot of crime, and we just had a murder over on Evans Mill. The man had been there for years and years and years. We are very sad about that. But putting gas stations in residential areas, people bought their homes with no gas stations there, no convenience stores there. So please try to put them near the expressway or somewhere where homes are not, so that our residents will continue to be safe. And the underground storage tanks leak, get in our waterways. I think I spoke about that before. The chemicals are very toxic. These gas stations decrease our property values, and it creates, as I said, unsafe environments. And, you know, there are many other places that we can put the gas stations, and we want things coming into the community that are going to attract tourism. And Mr. Boone and I had a good conversation about that, so that's what we want.
Thank you, ma'am.
Miss Nichelle Stevens Smith.
It was withdrawn, but this is still a theme that I think that we need to cover as a city. Nichelle Stevens Smith, resident of Stonecrest, been at the Parks of Stonecrest for 10 years. Live, work, play, worship, shop, and educate. These are the words from our mayor on our vision we should have for the city of Stonecrest. These words paint the picture of what we should strive to have for a quality of life that our residents sought in voting yes for the city. With this, we need to make sure that we're careful in what type of businesses we allow in our city. Gas stations and convenience stores are notorious for attracting crime and impacting quality of life, especially if they're close to homes, daycares, churches, and other inappropriate locations. There are environmental concerns that were already spoken to right before I came up. A convenience store or gas station can also lower property values in that area. The proposed site was literally in the backyard of residents of Parks of Stonecrest. And people will be driving in and out of this intersection, loitering. We've already seen that with the quick trip that's right near I-20, that there's a lot of loitering in that area. It also leads to increased robberies, accidents, and traffic. We've seen the negative impact of having convenience stores near residences based off the devastating incident that happened at TikTok last week on Evans Mill. There's traffic impacts with having a gas station close to residences. Driving north on Turner Hill in that direction of where the gas station would be, we've already had numerous accidents of people coming out of the apartment complex. And that's them making a left out of the apartment complex. Imagine if they were going straight across to convenience or businesses in that area. There's also, we need to keep in mind with any new business that comes into Stonecrest that we need to make sure that we have market feasibility studies. Do we need this type of business in Stonecrest or in the area that is being proposed? With the influx of dollar stores and gas stations, it's become a national problem. We already have DeKalb County who place a moratorium on dollar-type stores within DeKalb County. Voting for a gas station voting no for a gas station is not stifling growth within Stonecrest. We need to be more cognizant of the type of businesses that we allow to come into our area. Again, live, work, play, worship, shop, and educate requires us to work together aggressively to create the environment in which retailing can thrive. And having gas stations and convenience stores on corner after corner, especially near residences, is not the way to go. Thank you.
Right. Like the way you recite those principles there. I appreciate that.
Miss Faye Cofield.
I disagree with the position that you cannot discuss zoning matters during public comment, because public comment allows a lot more people to speak on an issue than we can allow in the zoning hearing, because you only have 10 minutes. And as you can see, there are a lot of people here that wish to express their opinion. I know that in DeKalb County, although that's a bad word, but at their county commission meetings, you can speak about anything that is on the agenda during the public comment section. I too am opposed to these gas stations because they do stifle growth. As I talked about the section of Memorial Drive, what's going on there. There's no gas stations on Memorial Drive. If you think about going through the area where they did the new Kroger and where they've put the new Publix, there are no gas stations there. Those gas stations are at, I think it's Hill and Memorial. There's not even one at Capitol and Memorial. So we have to, as everyone has said, we have to look at what we do with land. We have an R100 zoning on this property. We're told by the developers that there's nothing anybody can do with R100 land. But once again, go down Memorial Drive and see how they built up from the bottom of the bottom. Or you can go over to the old Fourth Ward and look at how they have developed that land in the old Fourth Ward and put in houses that I'm sure we would love to have in Stonecrest. So as somebody said, well, you know, you have to go, if you're in parts of Stonecrest, you have to go outside the city to get gas. We are not in the middle of the only thing desert we're in the middle of is a food desert. We are not in the middle of a desert where it's so far to go to a gas station. I will once again remind you that from Panola Road to 138, south of I-20, there is no grocery store. So those living in that area, when they want to go to a grocery store, they have to go to Rockdale County, or they have to go into the city of Lithonia or the county of DeKalb. So, you know, I've given my suggestion. Try to get somebody to take the old Sam's. We got all that freezer stuff there. And I'm sure Trader Joe's will come. Whole Food, by the way, put their first store in Detroit, in the inner city of Detroit. So don't say what can't come. Say what will come. And what we want is a grocery store.
All right. How much time on that?
We have 3 minutes and 22 seconds left. If there's
Okay.
anyone else that wants to speak.
Yeah.
Please do not accept the deferral. Please send a message, make a statement, vote to deny. Thank you.
Okay.
We have 3 minutes and 10 seconds left.
Okay, seeing no one, close that. Now we'll take for those that are in support of the development. All right. I apologize.
I just want to make one clarity. The applicant is asking for withdrawal of this application. Please remember that the applicant does not own this property. The owners of the underlying parcel still would like to be able to look at other alternatives for this property. This application is denied. They would be prohibited for 2 years, I believe, from coming back before this board to be able to do anything with this property. I know that they have literally all of the lots from Hayden Quarry Road down to this property are all currently under, well, not under contract, sorry, but are up for sale. So again, the applicant would ask for the withdrawal of the applications. Thank you.
Bernard Knight, I'm speaking in favor of allowing the withdrawal. I don't have a dog in this fight other than the fact that I don't generally favor gas stations where this was proposed. I would suggest to you all respectfully and humbly that it is a good policy for the city council to have to where an application has proved to be unpopular, that it's proven to be something that involves a number of issues, that it would be an excellent policy to encourage applicants to withdraw, to allow that, rather than have them run the risk of denial. I just think that's a good policy. It allows them to escape from a bad situation with some dignity and avoids considerable controversy. Thank you. So I would ask you to favor this withdrawal.
We have 8 minutes and 19 seconds left.
All right, any further comments? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
All right, properly moved.
Second.
And second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, public hearing is closed. As we usually do, I take the lead from the council person that covers that area, and I think that is Councilman Clanton.
Mr. Mayor, without a doubt, I motion that we approve the withdrawal of this application.
All right, properly moved, and I second. Discussion.
Second with the question.
All right.
Ms. Battle, normally, well, a lot of the times I hear you say withdrawal without prejudice, and I didn't hear that with this. Is there, please explain the difference with prejudice or without prejudice?
The withdrawal would be without prejudice, pretty much automatically. If you were withdrawing with prejudice, I guess it would basically be the equivalent of a denial. So it's a withdrawal without prejudice.
Okay.
All right. Council, any further questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just understand though that with the withdrawal, they can come back. So, and that might be fine for the council, but that's just something you should be aware of. And they could come back with the very same or very similar application next week, next month. I mean, so that's just something to be aware of.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I'm new. Remember, I want to make sure I'm clear. So because it was a withdrawal without any restrictions, any prejudice, they can come back and it's no set time period from today's date up until the time that they could come back with something else. Is that what you're saying, Council?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm saying.
They would have to go through the process.
Yes, so they would have to
over
submit
again.
an application and go
Right.
through the normal process like anybody else.
They would have to come right to this council.
Yeah, they yes.
And I think the unpopularity of this particular project would not probably change between now and whenever time they come back. That's just a statement.
So I'll make this because of what I see and what we're doing here. We're not trying to kill people. If you don't want them here, let them go. And then if they have an opportunity to do something better and come back, that's okay. So I'm fine with the actual withdrawal. So we're still in a conversation mode, still in discussion mode. All right. Seeing none further, all in favor of withdrawal, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Withdrawal passes. Thank you. We're going to new business. Let's see, Mr. Farrell? There he is. All right. We'll start with code enforcement.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Sir.
I'm here in front of you to discuss some issues that we've discussed over the last several months with many of you. One being the alcohol ordinance in regards to the hours of operation. I think that was brought before you in 2018 when the county decided to roll back the hours about an hour or so from our current standing. We're the only city within the city of DeKalb, or incorporated cities of DeKalb, that still operates with alcohol being served till 3:35, 3:45 on Fridays or Saturdays and Sunday evenings. And so what is before you is our current ordinance as it pertains to that. And I can give you some justification for that. We had one location here. I did analysis with Lieutenant Harris of the DeKalb PD, probably in August, from April of 2019 to September of 2019. And there was at least 10 instances of occurrences of gun violence and or fighting calls that, like my grandma used to say, nothing happens good after, basically midnight, but 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, which, creates, some concerns of safety for not only the citizens of of the community, but also the police officers, because actually they were posting up in that location on those weekend nights just to try to curtail some of that. We did meet with that particular business owner, discuss what they need to do to reduce that. I think at one point they did hire some off-duty police officers to actually assist with that. But needless to say, we are the only city in DeKalb County that actually stays open late, which means they leave Tucker, they leave Doraville, and where are they gonna come? We're gonna party in Stonecrest till 4 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately, that leads to bad actors creating, a lot of work on our public safety staff. So that is the reason on the work session, we wanted to at least bring it to your attention to have a discussion about it.
So Mr. Farrell, we, first of all, I can't stay up that late. So our closing hours are 3:40?
3:55 on Monday through Friday, and Saturday it is at 2:55, and Sunday is at 2:55.
3:55 a.m. on
Yes.
Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
And then,
Well, I mean, that's the last time they can stop serving drinks like 30 minutes before. But again, if restaurants are late night establishments are closing, they're not getting rid of the crowds until probably like 4:30 in the morning. So.
And Friday, Saturday, Sunday is, you say, is before that.
2:55.
I would have thought it was the other way around.
Most places that I worked in prior, Sunday through Thursday was your 2:55 hours.
Right.
And then Friday and Saturday was your 3:55, 4 o'clock hour.
Huh.
This was kind of different. This was actually, from the county's ordinance that we adopted. So when we became a city, that was what the hours were. They have since, most jurisdictions, honestly, Brookhaven rolled theirs back on April of 2018 to 2 o'clock every day of the week. So, and I think Doraville is the same as well. So we're looking at some guidance on that. Chris and I have talked about it because it starts on his end, but it comes to enforcement on our side as well as PD's side. But to be holistic in the county would be ideal for the DeKalb PD, honestly.
So they moved their time to what?
To 2:55.
Monday through Thursday?
Yep.
Oh, period.
Period. Yep. And Brookhaven, like I said, what I did is I did research on Tucker. Their hours are actually 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. Monday through Saturday. And they actually moved to 9 to 2, excuse me. It initially was 9 to 3. So they moved it to 9 to 2. Dunwoody did the same as well, or they always were, till 2 o'clock. So since they've been a city. So, as we grow, we need to look at that. Unless, if, Chris and I have had these conversations, there's not that much revenue being generated in an extra hour or two. I mean, yes, there's liquor sales, of course, but, it's not like we're getting pennies on the dollars for those liquor sales.
Got it.
In the end of the month when they turn in their liquor by the drink or things of that nature, or excise tax money.
Council, floor is open.
So your suggestion would be consistent with DeKalb County, some of the other cities? Who are you suggesting we model?
I would say, we're similar in Tucker. Tucker doesn't have a lot of establishments. And honestly, we don't have a lot of establishments that stay open that late. But there's about, 3, I think, Chris? 3 or 4. So if we start now, but as we grow, then you can look at, you start getting into, all different types of mixed use, beer growlers and all that kind of stuff. And that may call for some of that downtown type change, which makes sense, from that perspective in the future.
I know that the brunch bill is a referendum issue. So
Right.
This will not be a referendum issue. This just straight vote, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, sir. The brunch bill was different because they changed state law. We had to kind of opt in on the brunch bill. This is different.
So we can just pass an ordinance and make it happen if we're so inclined?
Sir?
Yes, this doesn't affect the brunch bill. This is not changing to start serving alcohol, I believe, at 11 a.m. on Sunday.
I was just concerned about the process to make it happen if we're inclined to make it happen. Just pass an ordinance and do it.
Tell me what hours you want, and we can get the ordinance drafted to the city attorney, and that's it. And y'all vote on it, of course. But
You made a comment about April to August and some gun incidents. Will you repeat that, please?
Yes, a particular location within our city limits had issues. I mean, I can actually give you some of the statements from Lieutenant Harris at that time. On April 6th at 2:49 a.m., a person armed called. I mean, employees saw someone with a gun or weapon in the establishment or the parking lot. May 6th, 2:49 a.m., a fight call. People fighting in the parking lot. That's ancillary to some of this staying open late as well. Let's see, May 7th at about 11:30, another person said there was a white truck refusing to leave the location. Of course, just getting into altercations. May 19th at 3:57 a.m., someone discharging a firearm in the parking lot. Bullets go up, they come down somewhere. And where this particular establishment, there are some residential areas in the proximity. I mean, I don't know how far they're away, but they are, because I got calls that they could hear the shots as well over that weekend. June 1st, there was a person shot call at the front door of the establishment. June 15th, another fight call, again, 20 subjects fighting in the parking lot. July 16th, person armed, that was at 3:13 in the morning.
Is it twins?
20. And that was at 4:30 in the morning from the establishment in the parking lot of this, or adjacent parking lot to where this establishment is. And then on August 28th at 2:45 in the morning, person armed call, heard, people armed in the parking lot, or at least talking that they were armed, but nonetheless created some confusion. And then lastly, on August 31st at 4:12 a.m., someone discharging a firearm in the parking lot.
Okay, I don't want you to tell me if it's District 5, so I'll talk to you after the meeting, okay?
I will answer that question if you ask me. But
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Let me ask a question. Are there problems prior to 2 o'clock in the morning? Are they having problems on that?
not as much, honestly, because it's usually still a tame crowd at that point. But what is happening is, from what I'm speaking with Lieutenant Harris at the time, he's actually in another district now, I believe. But at that time, they were leaving other establishments within, DeKalb County of some sort. Like, hey, we know they stay open to, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So.
And you said there were 3 or 4 of these establishments in the city of Stonecrest that have this extended hours?
Yes, or have the designation from the county as a late night establishment. Yes.
And did we adopt that same? Did we have late night establishments in our code? Did we adopt that?
Yes, we did. So Chris and I have, just to let you know, we've probably in the last year, we've actually been conversing. So the county ordinance requires that every late night establishment has a certificate that says they're a late night establishment, the hours of operation, things of that nature, meaning it allows for PD or any other public official to see that they're legitimately a late night establishment. The way the county operated, basically they would just show them receipts at the end of the year, renewing their license, and the county would either grant that continuation of that late night establishment clause without really investigating. So what we found when we became a city, a lot of these places were like, hey, we've been a late night establishment for 10 years. And we're like, okay, well, where's the documentation? And they're like, well, here's my receipts from, the zoning department saying that I paid my fees and kind of got a letter. And that's what they call it a letter of entertainment. And so but the ordinance actually says that we should have a certificate. So Chris and I are working, I think he actually has created the certificate or something similar to it. So we're trying to make sure we do it the way the ordinance says, so it makes it easier for police to police it as well as us, and and things of that nature. What we've also said that any late night establishment, as they renew their liquor license in December of each year, they have to request to be a late night establishment for that preceding year. So it's not like their business license, because that's when they would actually renew that with the county, was during their business license phase, which did not make sense because your liquor license expires on December 31st. So we're trying to rein in the ordinance a little bit better.
So to that same point, when you said we only make pennies on the dollar, are you referring to Stonecrest, or are you referring to the business owner is only making pennies on the dollar? And I'll tell you why I asked you that really quickly. I remember we had a very lengthy discussion around this when the brunch bill was presented to us. And I think we even had a recommendation to speak with these business owners directly, so we knew what the impact would be of changing the hours. And I don't know that was actually done, or maybe it was done, and I don't know if that circled back to us with whatever those responses were. But I'm interested in knowing what kind of, I mean, I too can't stay out that late, believe it or not. So I don't know if last call brings in triple the amount that, the regular hours brings in, or is it truly just a couple of dollars? Like what can we expect from those business owners if we say, yep, we're going to cut this out, it's 2:00? Are they going to come back and say, you're killing my business?
I'm just gonna be honest. They're always gonna say that.
Well, I mean, realistically, though, I know they're going to say that.
But
Are we really?
Really, we're not.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because, doing this for so long, I mean, we get some of the reports, and I can ask Madam Clerk, some of the reports that we get, I mean, $80 in a month, am I correct?
I think the establishment you're referring to is a couple $100.
Couple $100 a month, but I can guarantee football season, they got something going on. Probably this past fight party, whatever, Saturday night was probably packed. And there's no way you can tell me, there's many people that were probably in there, that we're going to get $200 out of you're open at least 25 days out the month, give or take. I'd say 30. But so you're telling me you're only giving us probably $10 a day? Let's just, being based off what she's saying, I find that. So that leads to another thing that, we'll discuss later on in the year. We can audit these type of establishments as well from a financial standpoint to audit their records, which is part of our ordinance also. At some point we can do that.
Yes, sir. So I'm looking at it from probably a different point of view, relative to the future, to the comp plan, to what we're looking to, the $700 million project that is supposedly coming to the mall area, to the growth potential. I think in a way we have an advantage that we're open late. And so when you start talking about comparing cities to city, I'm wondering if you have comparisons like county to county. For instance, what time establishments are closing in DeKalb County as opposed to Fulton County or Rockdale County, are we sandwiched in between? So if you got late hours in Rockdale and late hours in Atlanta, they have a lot of other opportunities to go to places. And further, if you're saying that there's $80 or $100 difference, then I don't understand where the problem is, because that's saying you only got 2 or 3 people coming that's spending $180. And, so if you just want it together as a crowd, you can do that anywhere you're not spending money. Mm-hmm. So, I agree with you that, if it's not hurting the current establishments, then that's one thing. But what about the future establishments? And what if the city at some point in time do, entertain an entertainment district, so to speak, that would also provide tourism, additional dollars, give us an opportunity to get some of the businesses like late night concerts or whatever that's not available currently in the city of Stonecrest or anywhere else in DeKalb that would give us an advantage. Kind of like bringing the Civic Center here would give us an advantage when there's no Civic Centers anywhere else in DeKalb County. So when you start talking about future growth, I think this is my opinion. My opinion is that we should probably look at placism instead of just saying, let's not have this in the city of Stonecrest. Let's find a place in Stonecrest where we can have these type of establishments instead of just cross the border, get rid of a segment of the economy that at some point in time may serve us well later on. So we can easily curtsy back and say, yeah, we made a mistake on that. Now we're going to change the ruling. But I mean, where we are now, unless you can show me numbers that is different from what you're actually saying, there's not really any serious harm being done currently. I mean, you have these reports, but they're not out of the ordinary. So, for instance, can you show me that or tell me that there are more crimes established citywide, after 2 o'clock than before 2 o'clock a.m. or 3 a.m. or whatever time we were looking at? See, because I would venture to say that when you start talking about crime numbers, you know, based on the ComStat and stuff like we have, a lot of these crimes are occurring actually in daylight hours. These crimes are crimes where crimes of opportunity, where folks are pulling up to service stations and the like, you know, getting robbed, carjacked, people breaking and entering into folks' homes, people entering into cars at the mall. So yes, if we wanted to address the car break-ins at the mall, we can shut the mall down early. We say just close the mall at 6 o'clock, and that'll take care of the problem. That's one way to look at it. But you know, the other way of looking at it is we can do some things like increase police visibilities, look at getting our own police department, or either enhancing our relationship with DeKalb County, and those things I think would help. So, you know, I think we're great to have this discussion, and I think we do need to discuss these issues, but I think we should look at all the options and get some figures, as Councilwoman Cobble put forth, that would help us.
And both councilmen, I will definitely compare ourselves. I'll get all the information from Fulton, DeKalb, Rockdale, as you stated. Just to give you some insight, several districts, and I've traveled all of them in many cases, but if you look at the Duluth Town Center District, they allow for some of those things, as you said, to expand, because they have a town center type area, which will allow to have, you know, people walk around open containers and so on. So there could be areas, as you stated, such as if we assume, you know, the mixed use that's coming around this area, that may follow suit as to what you desire. Same thing in Smyrna. If you look at their town center village, that allows, you have a lot of restaurants in there, a lot of bars that people can walk to and congregate, but they do close at a modest time, but still allow for some of those activities as you described. But I'll get that information and I'll research it out, and I'll definitely get it back to you as it relates to the questions that have been placed before me thus far. Any other questions?
So, Mr. Farrell, what we'll do is while you're answering those questions back, we'll take those answers back to the next work session, okay, and then we'll cover shopping cart and donation box at the same time.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. That's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council.
Right. All right. Resolution for a charter amendment.
We would like to offer a resolution to amend the charter where we have identified publicly ambiguity in the charter. I think we're all well aware of what that is. So we'd like to remedy that by sending a resolution to the Georgia General Assembly in support of their efforts to clear up the ambiguity in the charter.
Well, if we're going to send a resolution with regards to one section, we might as well cover some more. I have no problems with doing that. We have several important things that we need to do with regards to that. And one of them is our situation with regards to our cap that we have to have removed to be able to continue to do business. So if we're talking about resolutions, if we're talking about charter, changing the, you know, or having a charter amendment, I'm open to several things. Floor is open, Council.
I didn't understand one thing you said. You said reference to our. You said account.
You asking me or her?
Yeah, you know. Oh, the cap. Okay, I'm sorry. I just didn't hear you.
So yes, I'm in support of sending a resolution for several things, but not for one.
Well, I'd like to mention that obviously this one was of deep importance, had a huge impact, obviously, and the General Assembly has already put this in motion. So it's not like, you know, it's going to stop. So the resolution is just support the efforts that have already been made. We can definitely, I don't disagree that there are other things in the charter that need to be addressed. But since this particular topic is one that's already being addressed by the General Assembly, this is truly a resolution of support.
I'll restate my original comment. I'm in support of doing more than just one thing, because we've had resolutions that have been sitting up there for 3 sessions and no one has done a thing. All stuff that we agreed upon, that we sent, and with respect, Councilwoman Grimes, before you got here, and that those documents are still there. To send a resolution just for one item in the charter, I'm not for that. We're going to send a resolution. We're going to support more than one item in the charter. Will be my suggestion.
So, Mayor, what would that look like? Opening up the entire charter for review?
No.
Okay, tell me what that would look like then.
So what this would look like is that she has an issue, you might have an issue, Turner and Turner may have an issue, and Councilman Clanton may have an issue. So we sit down collectively, find out what our issues are with regards to the situation in the charter, or how the language is in the charter, and then we collectively decide what we're going to send. That's how we did this before. That's why I say I'm not for one issue. Send a resolution for one issue in the charter. And let me shed a little bit of light for everybody. We can send as much as we like. We can talk as much as we like. We can present as much as we like. It has to pass 2 houses, Senate and the House. And we can rubber stamp anything that somebody else wants to do. But if it goes from one side of the aisle to the other, and is not participated on with regards to the other people that's in that House or in that Senate, it dies on the floor. Matter of fact, it won't even make it to the floor.
Well, I'll offer just one last comment, and hopefully our other council members will make a comment as well. But obviously this was something that was not just another thing that we know needs to be addressed, but we overlook it. This was obviously something extremely important enough to file litigation about. So if we're going to make it as serious as it was for the last 2 weeks, then it's interesting that today it's not as serious. And considering that, like I said, there's already activity with the General Assembly, I would think that this would be of some of most importance to all of us in the city of Stonecrest, so that we don't tarry on this issue when there is a remedy for it and it's already working.
Floor still open, Council. I made my statement.
Well, what we don't want to, I'm sorry. Well, Mr. Mayor, what we don't want to do is find ourselves where we were before. And we have an opportunity to prevent that from happening. And I think it's a wonderful thing. We have the Senate, approval of the Senate working with us on this. So I think it's a good time for us to move on this.
And what do you think was going to happen when it moves to the House?
I don't know. We'll just have to see. But, I mean, we need to get it started somewhere.
Yeah. Council?
Let me just say that usually at the beginning of the year, we will establish a legislative agenda and kind of outline the things that as a city that we want to see happen in the General Assembly, one of which is charter changes, has been hot for the last 3 years. And since this issue is on the table and is moving, I would support moving it along. And hopefully there's a way to add to it as we go. But it's my understanding that it is ready to be put into motion. And let's work with them in terms of making sure that we can update it, get it to say what we know it needs to say.
Mr.
McClellan?
Yeah, as I understand it, in the last couple of years, the House has presented legislation on behalf of the city of Stonecrest that was also in motion that we were hoping to get moved forward within the General Assembly. I am in total agreement that we should look at the legislation that is now being looked at in the Senate as well as the House, because we have to have the collaboration of both the House and the Senate. So with that in mind, I think we should not lose an opportunity to move anything off our agenda as a city when we present to the House. And then if they want to, or the Senate, if they want to start removing items, then that's fine, because at that point in time we have no power or anything. Our support is, I think all of our support is whatever we send to them as an agenda item, which we have been doing over the last 2 or 3 years that have not gotten any movement, particularly because of the Senate. So, that being the case, I mean, now the Senate comes and say, well, we're okay with this one, we'll move on this one, but we're not going to, address anything else from the city of Stonecrest. It becomes a matter of how do we want to proceed as a city in negotiating tactics. I mean, what we want as a city is not for us. It is for them. It's for y'all. That's what we want. And so we have to stand up behind our citizens. And I don't think any of our citizens do not want the legislation that is now in front of the city, because it clears up issues within the charter and it should be looked at 100%. I am in agreement with that. But as well, we have to have some of these other issues move forward as well, and we cannot just say we're okay with this, and and then allow them to tell us that we're not going to look at anything else from the city of Stonecrest, but we're going to look at this, and that's kind of like, that's not us that they're spitting in the face of. They're spitting in the face of our citizens. And just because our citizens don't know what's going on in our state legislature doesn't mean it's not going on. And so I think my campaign from now on, as far as being from my position now, is to make certain our citizens know what's going on in state legislature, because that is important, particularly when they get to look into our charter and change things in our charter. We're asking for a lot of things here. We really are. And I do think this should be added to that ask. But I don't think it should be separated from that ask, and that we can take this and we're okay with everything else. They should not dictate to us what we want. We should, as citizens, dictate to them what we want. That's the way it should go. It shouldn't be the other way. So I'm going to be in support of anything that would support our citizens as a whole, and that would include issues that arose within the last 2 weeks. It should be addressed, looked up, and cleared up.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
I may reiterate, to wait, and you understand that the state legislature is only in session for 40 days. And I'm not sure what day they're on now, but they're almost at the halfway point. And every day we waste, we are losing out on the opportunity to get this advanced. So to move this along, if this is the only thing that gets through, then at least we get that, because this is one that has led to litigation. The other issues there are critical and they need to be taken care of. But as you can see from over the last couple of weeks, how this has risen to the level of extreme importance that we resolve it as quickly as we can.
Mr. Mayor, if I may point out, just straightforwardly, when you're talking about a millage cap that we have in front of the legislature for the last 3 years, I know the citizens may not understand what that means, but you guys as citizens has been asking for public works in the city of Stonecrest. If we can't move that millage cap, we cannot get public works, because it's required. So that's got to go through legislation. We got to get these things to happen, to have them, excuse my expression, but to have them punk us and tell us that we'll take this while we put this on hold. All of it is critical. We should not remove anything. We should stand our ground on the legislation that you guys want to push forward, that I am a part of that, and I feel that is great too. We should stand our ground on all of it. And that's what we should do, not again on our behalf, but on behalf of the people that elected us and the people that we represent, because they are way more important. It's way more of them than they are of us. So that's just more critical to me. I'm just saying, it really is a point of concern for me that, we have to get more engagement, more than just showing up at City Hall. You got to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And you have not heard me say one time that I don't agree with the legislation that has been pushed forth, which I do agree with, because it makes sense that we clear up issues in our charter. But bigger than that, when you're talking about we can't move, we can't do anything within our community. We can't pick up our own trash. We can't do anything. All the items that you all normally Mr. Farrell to come back up here and tell you. All these things we have limited ability to access because we can't get it past legislature because they want to have us over a barrel. We have to stand together. This is an occasion where we can all stand together on this document as well as everything else we want for the city of Stonecrest.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on that because I'm not saying that I disagree with you, but I think we had that opportunity prior to 2 weeks ago, and we decided to go a different route. And so now to have this notion of collaboration on all the things that the charter could use a second look at, I find that an interesting and convenient time to present that choice when we had that choice a few weeks ago, and we chose litigation. And now we have offered up taxpayer dollars for two attorney firms, ours for the city and mine, when we could have had a discussion similar to this prior to going into litigation. So I just think it's a convenient time to have that as an option on the table for a collaborative effort to solve all the problems of the charter when that wasn't an option 2 weeks ago. And since the state legislature or the General Assembly has decided to move this one forward because Stonecrest launched it into litigation, I think is valuable for us to go ahead and offer the support. And again, remember now, this is just a resolution of support. Whether it passes or not, the General Assembly is going to do what the General Assembly is going to do. So this is simply just saying that Stonecrest would like to support those efforts so that we don't have to go through another situation like the one we had because there's ambiguity there.
Floor is still open. So I'll restate my position again. And I 100% agree with Councilman Clanton. We have had critical issues there for years. And we tried to handle this without any type of situation that we have now. But that wasn't the path that was chosen, so I'll leave that as it is. But as far as the General Assembly is concerned, as far as the House and the Senate, I am exceptionally aware of how and intricately familiar with what happens in both those houses to be able to have something happen or not happen. Because I walked those halls for years with Joe Thibodeau, with Bernie Knight, with Ples Joyner, with Sean Jones, to know exactly how to not only get a measure passed, but to get a city passed. So with that, if we're going to send a resolution of support, we're going to send a resolution of support, in my opinion and in my desire, for all the things that we have put on the table, not just for one. Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to old business.
I'd like to offer a motion.
We had this for conversation, for conversation, Councilwoman, not for vote.
It's on the agenda. It's an item that can be voted on just as any other.
It says resolution for charter amendment for discussion. That's how it was put up for the agenda. And we just discussed it.
And now I'm going to put a motion on the floor that we approve the resolution of support to the General Assembly to clear up ambiguity in the charter.
I'm not going to recognize your motion on the floor because that's what we decided we would do with a discussion. Now you are changing the agenda. Now you are changing what we said we were going to do. We discussed it. Now you want to put it up for a vote.
No, we didn't. We did not vote for discussion only.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
No.
You know, that's the thing that we have to.
Rob Turner, was the spirit of your addition to the agenda to be discussion only with no vote?
No, I thought we were going to vote on it, discuss it, then vote
Why don't you ask me how old I am so I can tell you the truth? We said that we will have. We said that we would have a discussion on this. That's what we added to the agenda, to have a discussion for it.
And discussion doesn't mean exclusive and you cannot vote. So as long as there are sitting council members, and we've been through this, we've been down this road, as long as there are sitting council members, all council members can offer motions and vote. So I'm sure we don't want to go back down the road of preventing duly elected council members from voting on
You can take it
items
wherever you want,
on the
Councilwoman.
floor. So I'd like for, I made the motion, so if there's a second, we can move on.
I second it.
Then we're in discussion, and the discussion would be, where is the resolution that we're going to present? I think it would just make absolutely no sense for us to move forward without having a resolution. And I'm telling you that, I understand everyone's position up here probably, and I understand the dynamics that are involved. But if we present a resolution, and I mean, everybody get to vote. So you vote and you stand by your vote, and that's fine. But if we present a resolution that don't include all of what we want for the city of Stonecrest and our citizens, it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's targeted, and it's almost vindictive. But that's fine. I mean, we all have an opportunity to vote one way or the other, up or down. That's great. But it makes no sense if we're going to vote on something. It's just like what we said earlier in regards to these committees. You said, well, we don't want to have the committees without a definition of the committees.
Right.
Why would we have a resolution without discussing the resolution itself, finding out what other council members might want to add to the resolution, and then move forward? So you can still have whatever it is you want in the resolution in the exact wording that you want to, but we all of us should have an opportunity to put whatever we want in those resolutions as well and move forward that way. Anything else, it's just different. I leave it at that.
Well, again, I mean, it's a little hypocritical.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, be careful. We're still in litigation. But
No, you be careful.
I find it very hypocritical that it was important enough to go to litigation, but now you want to tie 7 to 10 other things to a resolution when this is already at the Georgia General Assembly.
So it's the other resolution.
Exactly.
Okay, so draw up another resolution.
Right, so that's what we're saying. Let's
And we
draw
can
up the
pass as
resolution
many-
and go from
We can
there.
pass as many as you'd like, and I'm not gonna allow you all to take me out of me being.
Well, he's trying to take you out of anything, Councilwoman.
Yeah, you
But
actually technically
what
did
right
try
is
to take
right.
me out of something.
No,
But the motion is on the floor for this resolution of support, and it's been seconded.
then show it to me in writing.
I will forward it to you.
No, right now.
Yeah.
We have voted on many of things.
There you go, George.
We were invited to the state capitol for the CAB delegation Senate meeting, and we were given this draft, and 5 of us were there, and it was the bill to be entitled An Act to Amend the Act of Incorporation of the City of Stonecrest, and it's LC 470399, and all of us received a copy of it. And this is in reference to that movement, and it explained exactly what they're trying to achieve. So I received it and read it and have a reasonable understanding of it. And I believe all the council members who were there received a copy of it.
And on Common Ground published it.
So that is really funny because when I left the meeting, they had not voted on it in that section. Matter of fact, there was some additions that Councilwoman Cobble wanted to add to it. There was a lot of stuff. So they didn't even resolve those. And I don't think we have gotten an updated version of that bill as of yet. Now, if you guys got it, that'd be nice for us to see it. But when I left, there was an addition about the time, whether the 3 months was here or whether the 3 months are there. None of that has been put forward. Now, if you guys want to send a bill that they wrote back to them that they have not completed, then that would be even more insulting and even more not really a genuine effort to get anything resolved. So we have an opportunity, for whatever reason, that you guys felt that it was okay to put this on the agenda as a discussion item and then turn it into a voting item. That's a whole nother story. But now you're saying we're wanting to vote on what they gave us originally that they are intending to change, and we want to support that. That's something different.
The bill was already dropped.
the bill that we left with that day that we got copies of, they said that they were going to make changes to it. So, which then goes back to an even bigger and an even more pointed issue is that the way the bill is written, the thing that we was bothered about initially, which was not failing to attend 1/3 of the meeting, is left in this bill exactly as it was. So, it's still not resolved. This deserves a lot more discussion. This is, I'm trying to remain nice, but this is akin to walking out on the council again. It's the same thing. It's no different.
Or you just want to leave it wide open so you can continue to try to remove people from their seats. I mean, that's the alternative that you're leaving.
Where did that come from?
If you don't fix it, then you begin to use it against people like we've already done. So the bill has been dropped. It clarifies. You had a chance to read it. It clarifies. And let's just start off. Let's back up by first saying that everyone's ambiguity was not discussed altogether. Okay. So it took the ambiguity that was brought up in the litigation was not the council's ambiguity. It was one or two select folks that decided this was too ambiguous. It wasn't a discussion where the council said, yes, this portion, that portion, or that portion is too ambiguous. Let's clean it up. So for you to say this part that we all had a problem with is still in there, well, we don't know who all had a problem with it because we didn't have a discussion as a council to say this part is ambiguous. We want to fix this. This part is not. You all took it upon yourselves to say we think this is a problem and let's go to court about it. So again, you pushing back on it further just exemplifies that you want it to stay this way.
No, actually, you're saying that we haven't had the discussion. We should.
When you feel like you can.
But if we can continue to speak out of turn, let me have a shot at it.
Go ahead. Since I'm doing
I understand that once the legislature get these bills and they drop them, they can be amended, changed several times before they are ever finalized. So I understand that what was put on the table may well look nothing like what comes out of it in the end, but this sets it into motion, and I'm ready to set it into motion.
I'm sorry, this is funny. It's already, as Councilwoman Cobble said, it has already dropped. So it is already in motion. So there's no more motion, whether or not, and you can say whatever you want to say on this council, but the truth of the matter is very simple. Whether or not we send a resolution to this legislative body or not, has no bearing whatsoever on what they're going to do with this bill. As Councilwoman Cobble said, it has already dropped. So this is your opportunity to make a statement that you support the bill. That's fine. Then say that we want to make a statement to support this bill separately of anything else. We don't want to support. We're not going to make a statement to support the millage thing that is really critical. We're not going to make that. We want to make a statement on this. This is what we want to stand on. We don't want to stand on what our citizens want. We want to stand on what a council or two members want. And that's fine. You have that opportunity to do that. I will continually say that. I am never going to say that you guys should not or should not vote. But if you're thinking about it and you're thinking about it going forward, you want to set a precedent that says this is how this council has chose to operate and to conduct business. What is the statement that we're sending as far as conducting business? A, we're going to get up and walk out when things don't go our way. B, we're just going to bully through a notion of a resolution that nobody has ever discussed. The proper forum for this entire discussion would have been in work session. That's what work sessions are for. So we just going to skip all of what we have, the ground that we have laid over these years, just because some incident comes up and you want to just make that some sort of rallying cry. That's fine. But the point of the matter and the fact of the matter, it does not set the right precedence for how we conduct business in the city council, nor has we ever conducted business in this manner in the city council. So yes, all of these events, they are all a series of unfortunate events that could have probably been averted if it was handled differently, but whatever. That has come and gone, and we got to deal with things as they are. And, it's just, let's set the right things, the right action in motion. I mean, yes, the city attorneys say this all the time, and sometimes I just really get upset to hear him say it. Council could do what council will. And I think we take that in the wrong way. We don't really get to do what we will. We can do it, but, you know, we got to watch what we do. We got to set the right precedents.
You do realize though that you didn't do any of that before we went to court.
We always did.
Right. None of that happened before litigation.
I'm going to beg to differ on you on that, Councilwoman. So let me make myself clear then. Let me make myself clear. You keep going back to this piece about what we didn't do, what we didn't do, what we didn't do. We took extraordinary efforts to make sure that we would handle this business with you quietly, not so that we'd be out in the general public news, everything.
No one ever spoke to me at all about this.
Oh, so you're saying Mr. Attorney Denmark didn't speak to you?
He did. Once the litigation was
drafted, he's nobody.
He sent me the draft litigation once you had already done it. That's not having a conversation with counsel prior to. That's serving me a lawsuit. That's not that is not going through the normal protocol, having discussion, and deciding as a council we will or will not pursue litigation. That did not happen.
The
city attorney called me after the litigation was already drafted.
I'll wait till you finish.
So I just don't want, just the opportunity for this misrepresentation of the truth continues to come.
I don't know what misrepresentation of the truth that you're talking about.
If Councilman Clayton is making a point that we're not following protocol right now, you didn't follow protocol 2 weeks ago. You didn't follow the same protocol we've always followed when we went into litigation. You didn't do that.
Let me tell you something, Councilwoman.
And you haven't spoken to me or any other member of the city staff since you served me. So that's not the same. So I just want to make sure we're not being hypocritical when you're saying, we should follow the right processes. Well, we didn't do that, and we went all the way to litigation. So this is simply a resolution of support to clear up ambiguity in the charter under the General Assembly. It's not earth-shattering.
Oh, no, it's more than that.
It's not earth-shattering.
It's more than what you say it is. It's more than what you say it is, because all the heavyweight stuff that we have, that we had to handle in the General Assembly that's sitting there for 3 years, all of a sudden they picked this thing to do.
Now, we don't have any control over
I let you talk. I let you talk. I let you talk.
Please respect your tone. Please.
I let you talk. Now I'm going to talk.
Please respect your tone.
We went to extraordinary measures as to how to try to delicately handle this situation so we wouldn't be having it the way it is today.
That's not true.
We met 2-on-2, unlike you all breaking the sunshine law every time we turn around. All 4 people know something that Jimmy and I don't know, but we didn't do it this way. We met 2-on-2, and then on that particular piece of it so that we could handle it eloquently to find out whether or not if you were infraction or not. And if you were, to give you some options. If you were not, then it would go away.
And that didn't happen.
And so with that, we're not the ones that missed the meeting.
That didn't happen. That did not happen.
Are you telling me? Are you sitting here telling me that we did not have this same exact situation? So we're in this.
You spoke 2-on-2, and you never came.
That's it. I'm not gonna finish this nonsense. I'm not gonna finish this nonsense. So having said that, we've spoken our piece with regards to how we want to see this done. 100% agree with Councilman Clanton. It's more than just this issue. We have everything with regards to what happens with our citizens and how we grow forward. Not because one senator is upset with me because we created the city of Stonecrest to start with. And he is still mad over it. So we're talking truth. That's what the truth is.
Well, the most
now, so having said that, that's where I sit with it. We started with a conversation. That's where we were supposed to go with it, with a conversation. Now it turns into a vote without even having the amended piece that they're talking about doing, other than what Councilman George Turner has presented today, which is not even finished because they're changing some other stuff in it. So I find that highly irregular when we can't even vote on having a committee. That without having it in writing, what you're going to be doing, how you tie your shoestrings, who's going to be doing what. But now all of a sudden we get to vote on this without having finished it being in writing about what is going to happen from a state legislative standpoint. That's ambiguity. That's hypocritical. Y'all can be mad.
Motion's on the floor and it's been seconded. I'd like to call for the question. Robert Rules of Order, you can call for the question. You don't have to be recognized. You can call, anyone can call for the question.
I would say, it's been called a question. I would say that Robert Rules of Order do allow for the chair tonight to recognize the call and given the fact that this have not been discussed duly in the wholeness of what we want to send as a message from the city of Stonecrest and from our citizens. I think this resolution should be given its due attention by I would say in a special, either if you guys want to do a special call meeting or at our next council session or in a work session. I think it does deserve the attention. Again, I would say 100% that I am not at all against some of the content of this, but as I'm looking over Councilman Turner's shoulders, I even see markups on his paper, but I just think we need to give due consideration to what we do. And it's just, it's not for me, it's for our citizens. And whether or not it's been done before still doesn't excuse it. My mama told me a long time ago, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And so, excuse or not excuse, what is the right thing to do at this point in time? And if you guys neglect or elect to do something different, then that's upon you. But again, I think Robert Rules of Order allows for the chair to not regard a motion if he feels so inclined.
Robert Rules of Order also dictate that you need 2/3 vote to override a call for the motion. Call for the vote.
So I'm going to make a substitute motion, which I can do. That's okay. I'm going to move that we take this resolution and add to the things that we want for it with regards to us and the citizens. That's my substitute motion.
I will second that.
All right. Discussion.
So then are we looking at just getting a special call meeting to come in and talk about those other things to be added to the resolution?
We can do it at a special call meeting, or we can do it at a regular meeting, or we can do it at a regular workshop. But if we're going to take something back to the General Assembly, then I want us to have a full discussion on what it is that we're doing, the same way that you all want to do these committees and everything else that we're doing.
Let me just say that time is of the essence. If we're going to get something through this General Assembly, and to call a special meeting or to handle it the next meeting, I think we're losing valuable time. Whereas we are only lending support to something that's going to happen anyway. That's all we're doing.
I beg to differ that it's going to happen anyway, because both houses have a say, Senate and the House. So if we're going to send something back to them with regards to what we support, we should have a detailed discussion on what it is that we're going to support and what it is that we're going to send them.
And I may say it may be as simple as just combining the 2 documents. You got a document that we, as a city, that every city council person up here, I believe, signed off on.
Yep.
That is already in front of that's already in front of the Senate or the General Assembly. We have that already there, and now we have this one that we can just combine. So it's not like it has to be a big detailed discussion. All I'm asking that we put the 2 together and send them as that's okay. And send them as our council combine what we want. So it's not hurting you or our, because again, I'm on your side on the first, on the L, whatever it's called. I'm on your side with that. I think it is needed, but I'm also on our side as city and people with adding the resolution that we already have. So it might just be, so it's not a long time. We got a call meeting coming up on Wednesday anyway, so you got 2 days. So that's not like a long time now. So we can just add this to the agenda then and put the two documents together and send them up to, if you're genuinely interested in getting it done, send it on up to the state legislature as a resolution.
Question to you, if I may. You said something about we've already signed off on something
Yes.
that's there.
Yeah. It's been up there for 2 sessions.
It expires after
No, it have
double session. Yeah, that's expired.
The resolution has been written. We all signed that resolution as a group, except for Councilwoman Grimes, who wasn't here at that time. And when we did that, we had agreed at that time on that resolution. So we still have that document that we can combine with what you guys are looking at right now and send it together as one document, as one ask. I mean, and again, it's already reduced to writing, and we having a council session on Wednesday. So now tell me your urgency again.
Ask someone who had worked in the General Assembly that this legislation that we signed, ordinance, expired at the end of the even year. It was only good for 2 years.
Regardless, the point is that it's already been reduced to writing. We already went through it. We all already agreed to it. And so we're only sending it back with this other piece of legislation. I mean, it's real easy. I don't know why it's a problem.
Then, Councilwoman Grimes, you'll have an opportunity to see exactly what it is that we had previously agreed upon, along with this document that they're speaking of today. And now we have a collective agreement with regard to what we want to do, instead of sending, some resolution back with regards to what they dictate to us when our entire city needs what we need. So that's my motion, to be able to meet on this subject on Wednesday, since we have to meet with this particular situation anyway. We can have it afterwards because it's a quick meeting anyway. And for you, Councilwoman Grimes, and for all the council, I'll send exactly what everybody signed up for, and then you can see it for yourself. It's not a big document, and then we can all review it, and then we can add this to it, based on everybody's input.
So what happens to the first motion that was put on the floor?
I substituted with this motion, which is to meet on Wednesday at a special call meeting to add it to the agenda for a special call meeting. So the motion is to handle it at the special call meeting on Wednesday. And then, Councilwoman Grimes, you'll get to see exactly prior to meeting on Wednesday where we sit with, since you all already have this amendment, and then we need to send you the one that you haven't seen, and then we can make a decision from there, or negotiate, or whatever it is that our hearts desire. But for a one-off, it's not right for a one-off. All right. So, all in favor for having to meet for it on Wednesday for discussion? Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Exactly.
Original motion.
Mhm.
call for it, Pro Tem. You call for it. Back to the original motion, you can call for it.
City Attorney, all in order?
Sir?
Back to the original motion to restate the motion. A lot has happened since then. No, it isn't necessary to restate the motion. A lot has happened since then. And the motion, I believe, was to transmit to the General Assembly our support of their charter changes relative to attendance. Now, if that's accurate, and we already had a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries.
You will not be getting my signature on it. Now, tax anticipation note, old business. Mr. Joyner, refresh us as to what we have to do this week amongst these things.
Ready. What we need to do tonight is we just need to do the first read of the 10 ordinance. Also understand that we'll be doing a second read and approval of this 10 ordinance at 6:30 on February 26th during our special called meeting. And this will enable us to close on the Sam's property with the funds from the 10 on Monday, March 2nd. This ordinance reads as follows. An ordinance to provide for obtaining a temporary loan to pay current expenses of the City of Stonecrest in calendar year 2020, to provide for the issuance and sale of its tax anticipation note, to evidence such loan, to specify the date and the rate of interest the note shall bear, to provide for the form of the note and for the execution of the note, to provide for the place of payment of the principal of and interest on the note, to provide for the source of payment of the note and the interest thereon, to authorize the sale of the note to Truist Bank and for other related purposes.
All right. Mr. City Attorney and Mr. Deputy, is that our first read or second read? First read. All right. And what's the process after?
You don't have to take any action this evening. That's just the first read. And then when there's the second read, then you'll be eligible to be voted upon at that time.
And that's Wednesday at 6:30.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, the Urban Redevelopment Agency.
Mr. Mayor, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Joyner. What I was going to say, Mr. Joyner, might have been prepared to say something different, is that I need to go back now and see, in light of the fact that we are likely not to have a quorum for this meeting that we recommended for March the 2nd, that go back and kind of see what our other options are to try to get it done at a different time, either earlier or later. What I will say is, though, that the just a point of clarification on the scheduling. As the council knows, we engaged a bond lawyer to assist us with tax anticipation note and issuing the bonds through the URA. That is Earl Taylor.
Okay.
And Earl Taylor is real skilled in this area, and he came up with the schedule in terms of putting, doing the advertisement and on common ground, getting the bonds validated through the Superior Court, the whole process, including the March 2nd date. So the source of that was bond lawyer Earl Taylor, and I think it's important to note. Also, that schedule that has the publication date, the special call meetings, getting the bonds approved by the district attorneys, which is required in state law, getting the bonds validated, all that was in a schedule that was sent to the council on or about February 19th. Is that right, Mr. Joyner? That's correct. Okay. So we just need to be clear that that's the schedule that Earl Taylor put together, and that's the schedule that was forwarded to the council a while back. So I just wanted to clarify that point. But inasmuch as we are unlikely to have a meeting on March the 2nd, I'm going to regroup this evening and tomorrow morning and report back to council tomorrow. Has to be kind of early tomorrow on here's the new plan. And I'm hoping that I'll say we can meet on Friday, or we can do it on our scheduled meeting on March 9th. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say something, and I have a lot of faith in myself, so it's going to be something good.
Point of clarity for you and Mr. Deputy. With regards to the bond schedule, is that just for? I'm clear on the. I'm clear on the tan. You know, we handle our business on Wednesday. We make it happen. We're good, because Sam's Club is not taking one extra day for this. Everybody needs to understand that. They have bidders that twice is what we have, so we have to finish this opportunity with regards to them. We asked the city manager the city attorney to go back and negotiate with regards to how Sears was, and he was able to secure that date at March 30th. So I'm clear as to where you're going with that, Mr. City Attorney. Here's the question I have for you with regards to the bonds itself. Does that pay just for Sears, or it pays for Sears and then it pays off Sam for the tan?
Yes, the latter. It's going to pay them both.
So it's equally important that we work some type of schedule out so that we can, finish both at the same time.
Sir.
Okay. Folks, now is the time to ask questions for Mr. City Attorney and Mr. Deputy. We all shall. Y'all know exactly what we need to be doing. Okay. What do we need to do from here, Mr. City Attorney?
Just give me a quorum on Wednesday for this special call meeting, and tomorrow I'll re-engage the council on the plan for having the public hearing on the urban redevelopment plans, as well as a meeting of the URA to pass the bond resolution. And so I'm going to reach out tomorrow and say, here's how we're going to accomplish those things within our schedule. So for this evening, there's not much.
There's one other piece of business that we really need to cover tonight. We need for Mr. Mayor for you to appoint the chair, vice chair, and secretary of the URA so that we can move these things forward. We'll be needing those signatures on the bond documents.
All right. Do it the way we've been doing it. I'll take nominations for chair, vice chair, and secretary.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I nominate the mayor for the chair.
Okay. All right. I accept.
We don't have to vote.
Do it all at one time. Is that okay with Mr. City Attorney?
Sure.
All right. Take your nomination for vice chair. I make a motion for Jimmy Clanton as vice chair. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. I make a motion for Councilman George Turner for secretary. All right. All right, so for the appointments of it, you have chair is Mayor Larry, vice chair is Councilman Clanton, and the secretary is Councilman George Turner. All right. All in favor of the appointment, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So appointed. So that is, and if you don't mind, Councilman George Turner, you'll let me know something about March 2nd.
Yes.
Okay. And then, Mr. City Attorney is going to let us know something about Friday. And since we have a solid quorum for Friday and possible, as Councilwoman Grimes informed me that she may be able to make it. And that's, I understand she has and she will be in glitz and glitter if she comes. All right. Okay. Final plat of Flat Rock Hills, Phase 2B.
Good evening, Council. Again, at the previous work session, this final plat is just procedural steps. They have been approved by the Cobb County and staff. So the only thing we really need for you to do is recommend is officially approve the final plat, and then they can have it recorded, and then they can start the process of putting in homes. Any questions of staff?
You have the map handy?
It should be in the packet.
Because there was some question raised as to exactly which parcel it was. I was pretty sure that I was clear on it as being on Crossvale, directly across from the school.
It is off Crossvale, directly across from Flat Rock Elementary. That is
Let me
correct.
just see the map.
Plat's not really going to show you, but I can tell you from GIS that it is across from Flat Rock Elementary, like directly right across the street from it.
Okay, I raised that question because this is part of a much bigger project.
Yeah, yes, sir, it is.
And there was some question about one of the other flats. And I wanted to make sure that this was not, that this is what we think it is. This is the one between Browns Mill, Crossvale, and Evans Mill. And according to the map I'm looking at,
Yeah, yes, sir, that
is correct.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, that's all I want to be clear on.
Councilman George Turner. Is whose area is it? I apologize.
That is right on that triangle. If you cross the...
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But we were having a discussion that actually, that one belongs to you, though.
This one belongs to District 4.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Motion belongs to you.
Move for approval of the plat.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Plat is approved. Thank you, sir. MOA for summer camp services?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sean DePalma, Parks and Recreation Director. This is a MOA, MOA to go into agreement with the South DeKalb YMCA to provide summer camp services for the city of Stonecrest out of Browns Mill. It is a encompassing MOA that would basically create a revenue stream for the department and for the city of Stonecrest. And I believe you had it in enough time to review it. I'm hoping.
Okay, Council, any questions for the deputy? I mean, the director? The deputy. Got this player stuck in my mind.
On your fourth whereas, it had the cost per child for such services will be $90 charged to citizens who wish to register for summer camp. I put on how many days will the camp be?
That is per week.
Per week?
Yes, but keep in mind that includes several items that weren't there prior, which is they get lunch and a snack as well. In addition to that, they will have access to Browns Mill Aquatic Center as well.
Okay. And I just picked up on something else that you might want to check. On second page, third paragraph, it says upon 30 days. I think that should have been spelled out 30 instead of 10. Is that correct?
Third paragraph, page 2. Yeah, yeah, this is up on 10-30 days. That's someone just a typo up, I'm hoping.
Yes.
Got it? Okay,
Yes.
all right,
Yes, sir. Thank you for catching that.
okay. That's all I have.
Okay.
Anything else?
Mr. City Attorney, we need to vote on the MOA for the summer camp service?
Yes, sir.
All right. I move that we accept the MOA for the summer camp services.
Second.
All right, properly moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? It passes. All right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Mr. De Palma, you have PNR camera system also?
Yes,
That's
sir.
you? Okay.
Basically, I'm coming before Mayor and Council to request upgrading our security system, both at Brownsville Aquatic Center and at the Brownsville Recreation Center. In addition to that, and that would be mainly surveillance system, adding cameras and also the recording devices and the digital equipment that you need for that system. In addition to that, adding plate readers to certain facilities throughout the park system to increase to help increase awareness that we are paying attention to our parks, to promote safety, and to help us maintain record. If anything does occur within our parks, we can then provide that type of record to law enforcement and so forth.
This is the flock system.
Yeah, I can move to that right now. So the flock system is the recording plate reader system, and we are looking to put them into the parks that you see there, which no monitors are aimed towards you, but it will be Southeast Athletic Center, all 3 entrances into Browns Mill once we get the 3rd one back, Everett Park, Farrington Park, both parking lots would be flocked cameras, and then Miners Creek where the trailhead is, where we have at Panola Shoals, and then also coming into Salem Park's parking lot. So basically the entry points to these facilities. And I have again, you don't have it aimed towards you, but camera systems for the aquatic center. And if you see, there's over a dozen there, and there's also inventory in your display. And then for the Brownsville Recreation Center, we have some a few out exterior and mainly interior. And then what I'm looking for is to get approved for $94,982.53. This would be through our contractor that we already have, which is Inadev, for IT equipment and services. And the bulk of that contract is on a state contract. So we're going to be piggybacking, basically, if you know that term, piggybacking a state contract for the bulk of the equipment.
So we get their level of pricing, I guess.
Correct. When it's on a state contract, it's vetted and it's pretty standardized there. So you would that would be at best cost, usually, is the term for state contract.
Okay. All right, Council.
And this would not hit our operating budget. This could be used as a CIP, so capital improvement, and or SPLOS funds as well can be utilized towards this. I have several cities in Georgia and also school board that use in Georgia that use flash funding for this apparatus to be upgraded in their facilities.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
maybe you,
Go ahead.
you might have stated it, but what's the annual cost for the maintenance of this?
Annual cost for maintenance, it's digital, so it would come through. We would build the network. This is part of the network as well. Now, Flock has a 2-year service term to it. So in 2 years or a year and a half, we would incorporate it into our functioning of our budget proposal and then have it built into that. But it would not be that number. That's for the equipment and the 2-year service. So it'd be substantially lower than that.
Mr. Jonah, we can splosh this?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Not that I didn't believe you, Sean.
No, it's okay. I verified it with several different municipalities, sir.
That was my question. That's 100%. Okay. Okay.
100%.
Right. Right.
Okay. All right. Council, any further?
I've got a quick question. I see here that there's some non-state contract equipment. Which pieces of equipment are non-state contract equipment?
I don't have the full inventory, but usually it would be something that is going to now go to the digital system. So keep in mind, you have the surveillance system, but then we need something to go from the surveillance system to our current network so that it can go online and we can get access. So it's the equipment between that route. That was the bridging route, because I did ask the same question: what are the extra 6,000? Why can't we get on the state contract? And that was
Is middleware?
Is it what?
Called middleware?
No, I'm not sure. It was basically the communication device to get it from the surveillance system to our network, our digital network.
I read over the
Yes. Mr. Joyner verified that. Yes, sir. Middleware.
In a previous life, I was Bill Bruckner, so I absorb the technical side of it, which is really good. I was taller than Bill, though. I just said that to say it's sound footing technically is what I really like about it.
Yes, sir.
Because where we're going from a long-term standpoint is that eventually, not only just readers at the park, readers citywide, along with what we're doing technically public safety that Dr. Hall is working on. So just giving you my 2 cents. I think it's on sound ground.
Yes, and both systems would be accessible by our current IGA servicer, which is DeKalb County. So they would be able to access it. And if we ever evolve into some other form of law enforcement or oversight by a law enforcement agency, we would then allow them access as well.
Yes. Council.
Really excited to see that we're piggybacking off of a statewide contract. A win-win for both government entities.
Yes, ma'am.
And it keeps the procurement process clean and super easy.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's good to see. And any opportunity we have to piggyback or co-op is a valuable opportunity in time and resources. Work is already done.
I
Excited to see
completely
that.
agree. Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Clinton?
Oh, no.
All right. Anything further, Council? I'll take a motion for approval.
Mayor, I'll offer a motion to approve the P&R camera system to Browns Mills Recreation. Sorry. And Aquatic Center, license plate reader at 5 park facilities.
All right. Properly moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, passes. Good work,
Thank
sir.
you.
Appreciate
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed night.
All right. Sub 19, 007, 3620 Klondike Road.
Yes, sir. To kind of make this kind of go over in a hurry since it's the last item. You guys heard this application at the last city council meeting, January 27th. I was able to go back and change to make sure that everybody know it was in actually District 1 instead of District 5. Applicants was able to still talk to the applicant and work on any issues. Staff still is recommending approval. Planning Commission did still recommend deferral. did you have any? Did you want me to kind of go over the presentation again to kind of go exactly what the applicant is requesting, just for just to give everybody a refresher, or would you just want to go straight into the discussion of the application?
What's pleasure, council? I remember it fairly well.
Good. No, I'm good. Yeah.
It's Jimmy's.
Appreciate it. I'm good.
And the applicant is here if you have any questions for her too.
So do we have to open public comments, or where are we now?
We've already had a public hearing, so
Yeah.
we don't have to open up, but you can if you want to. But we've already had one though.
The last time there was some ambiguity again about what it meant when they say owner/operator, and I think we cleared that up because we raised the question. Are we at that point yet?
Yes, sir. I did send out the city attorney, Anna Maria Hazard, sent a memo to me that I sent out to you guys today to kind of clear that up for you guys.
No, I'm just saying, are we at that point? You look like
Well,
I was
I'm
at another
clear.
chapter.
I'm clear on it. I don't know if city council is clear. I don't know if they had time to review it. If they have questions, I can answer. And Anna Maria is here to answer any questions regarding the memo too.
Yeah. But because the real question was requiring the owner to occupy the property was the real issue, and we have denied some application because the owner didn't occupy, and we have made it a specific requirement of some applicants that they occupy the property, and I know that that was being questioned. So you're gonna dive into that?
Sure. So this is a personal care home, and so I believe it's section 4.
4.2.5, I believe. Hold on, I can double.
Of the ordinance, and this would fall under type 2, and type 2 actually does not have that language that says owner/operator. However, it's still in the category of home occupation, which would require the primary use to be someone living there as a resident. So it would still require a resident. It would require someone to live on the premises. So there's no in the ordinance as it's written currently. There's no distinction between a renter and an owner. The requirement is that it's someone's primary residence, which in this situation would be the renter's primary residence, and then the renter is operating the personal care
home. What's a type 1 and then what's a type 2?
Type 1 home occupation is where the applicant is limited 25% of their dwelling to use towards their business. They would not have any customer contact with anybody at their home. Type 2 is where you will be having customer contact, and therefore you have to get approval from the city council to do a type 2 home occupation. Those generally are going to be your personal care homes, your child care homes, your transitional housing. Those type of uses where your business is the customer who's actually living there. So those are type 2 home occupations. Just a kind of clarification, majority of our business licenses that apply through the city are type 1 home occupations, because most of are entrepreneurs and they're actually doing they're conducting their business at home.
Thank you.
And the type 1 is the one where you, well, the intent was to make it cover all of them.
Yes,
I introduced it.
Yes, sir.
But
So
when I saw it in writing, I saw where it was line.
Yeah, the way it is written, it forces those who are doing type 1 home occupations to only be the owner, and that those who are actually renting a home and they wanted to do be an entrepreneur and have their own business, they wouldn't be able to do that. So I guess the way it should have been put, it should have been stationed under type 2 home occupation, because right now it states that only is only referring to type 1 home occupation. So therefore, if you're a renter, say Councilman Turner, I rent I rent from you, and I want to open my own business. Well, I can't operate my business there because I'm just a renter. You actually the only person who actually be able to operate your business at that location. Essentially, we'll be cutting out a large portion of our business license application coming into the city if we really enforce that rule.
No, it said for personal care home was the intent.
Yeah, well, yes, sir, but it says personal care home, but since a personal care home or type 2, personal care homes are not type 1. So therefore, it only refers to type 1 home occupations. So again, doesn't say anything about type 2 home occupations at all. It just says type 1. And type 1, you're not having customer contact at all with anybody. So again, for you to be a type 2 home occupation, you have to be a personal care home. And again, the way it is written is that, again, is only referring to type 1 home occupations, not type 2, the way it is written currently right now.
And here again, we have that ambiguity. That was not the intent, but if that's the way it is, we're going to have to find a way to fix that.
Yes, sir.
Meanwhile, where do we stand? Make it clear. You're saying that
Sure,
this application.
So the ordinance that applies to this situation is under the type 2, which requires a special land use permit, which is why this application is before you. And so because it's it's under home occupation, there needs to be someone residing there as a primary residence. And that qualification was met. We have a lease agreement. And so this is a special land use permit. You approve or deny a home occupation. And then the requirement, because it's a home occupation for a personal care home, is that someone resides on the property, and someone does reside on the property, or will, rather, there's a lease.
And it does not require the owner to reside on the property, the way it's written now.
Correct. And so the memo that was sent out to you all discusses the distinction between requiring an owner or a renter.
But like you said, the person that's working there, is renting there, that's their resident.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm clear. All right.
So what's our
next?
So if there's no other discussions, then I would make a motion based on these 3 items. Number one, I looked at the location. I went out to the facility. I know exactly where it's located at. There are really no homes within, hundreds of yards of that facility. Is actually in the optimal place for matter of fact, this is to me, is a good example of where these personal care facilities should go, that it's not to intrude on neighborhoods. So this is at a stop sign where at the roundabout almost looked like a commercial area. And the property itself also looked like a commercial property. So they got a large parking facility, the whole 9 yards out front. Based on the fact that someone has to live on the property, whether they are the owner or a renter, someone still have to live there 24 hours a day. I think that's also a great guideline until we fix, issue with how we want to resolve that issue of who should live on the property, homeowner versus renter. And then also based on the recommendation by our planning and staff. So I'm making a motion that we approve this, SLUP 19007 3620 Klondike Road.
All right. Properly moved, and I'll second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Well, City Attorney, if we approve this, if it passes, rather, are we setting the precedence that we cannot?
Well, so the way that it would work for zoning purposes is if you pass this, then the rights vest and this applicant can operate as they were approved today. However, if you want to change the ordinance for the future, you have the ability to do so. I also wanted to know, I believe there was conditions on the staff recommendation, and I believe those are the conditions. So the conditions limited it to 3 people, and the applicant was asking for 6. So it would be helpful to be clear on your
Right, so I would amend my motion to include the stipulated conditions as well.
Now, and I'm also asking, since we might have, and I have to check, denied some others who may have been in a similar situation because we went by the intent of the ordinance, and that was to require owner occupation, even in this situation. And I think we argued for and did approve some. So it is something that we'll have to fix, and I want to make sure that this residence does not damage our ability to make that happen.
Yeah, you'll always have the ability to change the zoning order.
All right. Motion to approve is on the floor with conditions. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Passes. Congratulations. For executive session, I need 10 minutes, Council. I want to call for executive session for real estate matter.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move to executive session to discuss real estate matters.
All right.
Yes,
Properly
ma'am.
moved. Yes, sir.
Can we add personnel in there for a quick discussion?
I'd rather not, Councilman. It's just really for real estate. What other?
I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. No deep discussion, just to ask.
Okay. For real estate matter and for personnel. All right. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. We'll be back shortly. Clarence Bloom. We'll settle.
I did.
I'll take a motion to call us back in.
Mr. Mayor, I move we close the executive session and return to the regular meeting.
Second.
All right, properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I didn't oppose. I voted for.
No worries. No worries. Mr. Deputy?
I would be remiss if I did not mention the Georgia Kangaroos are on a 4-game winning streak. Yesterday, the opposing team didn't even show up. Every Sunday, 3 o'clock, Browns Mill Rec Center.
All right, man. Madam Clerk? Good. Mr. and Miss City Manager?
I have nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Assistant to the City Manager. My man.
I don't have anything.
All right. Ms. Cobble? Councilwoman Cobble?
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who came out to the District 3 community meeting on Thursday. We had a really great time. We had great presenters, a lot of engagement and input, a lot of great recommendations came from some of the constituents on our SPLOST schedule and just some other areas. So it was a really great turnout, good meeting. A lot of information was passed out. So I just want to say thanks to everyone who took their time to come out on a rainy Thursday and join us. It was really a good turnout.
Councilman?
Yeah, I'd like to announce my first town hall meeting this Thursday, February 27, 6:30 to 8 at the Salem Bible Church, which is located 5460 Hillendale Drive. We're going to have our economic development director there, a director of Stonecrest Film and Entertainment, Parks and Rec director, and also the vice chairman of the DeKalb County School Board. But let me also say this in reference to District 2. It might not be any, residents here in District 2, but if you know of any or if you are a resident of District 2, please come out to the meeting. If you have any questions or concerns about my actions or my votes, I'll be more than happy to talk with you about them at that time, give you extensive information on why I do what I do. All right? Thank you so much.
Councilman?
So yeah, my meetings are every first Saturday of each month. We start at 10 o'clock and we go until 12:30, and the location is at AEI Startup Factory. Go Kangaroos!
All right.
Oh, and by the way, I was looking for a Kobe Bryant jersey to wear today.
Oh, man.
Couldn't find one for the world, but my condolences and best wishes to the family, the global family, for Kobe Bryant and his family and his daughter.
Good deal. Councilman.
On March 8th, I've been invited to Big Miller Grove to speak not to speak, just to join the minister, Reverend Fowler, Bishop Fowler, on his 80th birthday celebration. And with the census, we were able to get into New Birth, and New Birth is going to become a census center. And we're trying to get other churches to follow suit. And I've been meeting with some of them and talking to them by phone to become a census center. And we're getting information into the school system now so they can distribute it to the kids. And they're going to have a curriculum added to their civics class to talk about the census. So we're getting the word out, but we need you to help, please.
All right. Councilwoman.
Okay, I just ask that you keep the family of our murdered favorite TikTok owner in your thoughts and prayers. He was laid to rest on yesterday. District 5, there's lots to do. My Facebook page has changed, and I don't know if you're still following or not, but it's not Vote Tammy Grimes anymore. It is Tammy Grimes D5. So make sure you follow me there for important updates. Thanks.
All right. I am exceptionally pleased always when I have an opportunity to announce the movement and promotion of people. Since she's still here, Miss Iris, we're just so glad to thank you for saving us. That's the only words I can say. It's just everything's up in the air, balls rolling all over the floor, out of bounds. And she just came in and being the professional, long term that she is, she just really put us back on track. For those of you that have had the pleasure, honor, whatever you want to call it, in being in executive management, there is no greater feeling. There's no better feeling I can think of than to see people and help them grow to the next level. It's just incredible when you watch what happens with them with regards to their family, with regards to their abilities and everything else on it. This is how things are supposed to happen. And I get just incredible joy of that end of it. Last but not least, we have that flexibility also because of the type of contract we have with Jacobs. I mean, it's just the best way to be able to do business in the way that for growth and vitality for this format of city. And I can back that up by saying international cities are coming here learning from us, and we're hosting those people. So they're using the same type of format. And it's really been working well for us. So with that said, I'm just exceptionally pleased at how we are able to handle City Hall, our management, and the people that work there. With that, I'll take an adjournment. Okay, so move. Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We'll adjourn.
We'll see you tomorrow, Joe. Stay until Monday.